PowerPoint mode, I'll not be able to see the chat. So please do shout out or type into the chat, and either Reese, who is on from our team in Swansea, or Lane, who is on our team based at Cardiff Met, will pick up what's in the chat. So quick introduction, I'm Gary Walpole, Programme Director of the current programme we're running, which is the Circular Economy Innovation Community. And this funding that we've got, which we've called the Foundational Economy Innovation Network, will enable us to carry on pretty much a lot of the work that we've been doing over the last 3 years in terms of developing innovation capabilities of organisations across Wales, helping them much better understand the concept circular economy and foundational economy in order to develop your products, your service range, and engage with others across South Wales that are involved in evolving their organisations to understand and implement circular economy principles. So let me move to PowerPoint mode. So as you can imagine, Cardiff Met are running the programme in the east, so in the Cardiff capital region, Swansea University running the programme down in the Swansea Bay region, and we bring the participants, people like yourselves, together in a conference at least once a year so that you can share ideas in terms of what you're doing and share some of the work and sort of new services, new products that you've developed as a consequence of the programme, but also just understand what each other's doing. We've got a partner in Comprise on this one who will be supplying the one-to-one mentoring support towards the end of the programme to help you implement some of the ideas or new services that you'll have developed during the programme. So quickly, to give you an agenda for this morning, a little bit of context in terms of why this programme has been funded by Welsh Government and why we think it's really important. A bit about what the programme looks like, so what we're going to do, what we're going to offer you. A little bit then around the impact that we've had with the current programme and previous programme. So the Circular Economy Innovation Community Project, it comes to an end at the end of this year. We're just finishing that now. We previously run the Cardiff Circular Economy Network, which we're hoping to reignite through this programme. That finished beginning of this year. And previously we run a programme called the Open Innovation Community of Practice, which had businesses of all sizes involved, from Ford when they were still going, to Welsh Water, to organisations like Abbey Glass and Treforest Glass on a much smaller size. We've got a little video to show you. There's plenty on our website that you can look at that give you an insight into what practitioners, participants have done on previous programmes, and obviously there will be opportunity for questions. So that's what we're going to look at this morning. Immediately, I think it's important to get across to you what the programme will help you do, help you better understand. So the programme is primarily an innovation programme. So it's about helping you understand the innovation process and then developing knowledge and skills to enable you to implement that innovation process within your organisation. It's about understanding circular economy, the principles of circular economy, or green economy as it's being termed in some places, and the opportunities that are available through implementing CE principles. The EU, in a recent paper, I say recent, last year, suggests that the value of the green economy across the EU is 1 trillion euros over the next decade. So there's certainly opportunities there. We'd also like to introduce you to the opportunities that exist for those SMEs out there in terms of securing more contracts from public service organisations. Part of the reason for this funding from Welsh Government is to support SMEs to better understand procurement and how they can tender to both hospital trusts, but also large public service organisations like the local authorities and Welsh Gov. The output for you as an organisation, as a business, will be what we would describe as a clean growth plan. So in other words, how you can implement circular economy principles either within a product or service that you currently deliver, or across the business, depending on obviously the size of the business and what you're looking to focus on. But the programme is about supporting you to better understand the innovation process, develop the innovation capabilities of your organisation in order to implement new ideas and particularly circular economy principles. Over the last 3 years, we've built up a large, what we would describe as open innovation ecosystem. So that's organisations that have worked on the programme, developed the same processes, some of the same practices, and shared with each other some of their challenges, but also their sort of product and service range. So that will enable you to talk to other businesses, other public service and third sector organisations, but also will introduce you to funders of innovation and other support providers. Like you can see on the bottom there, we will have Celsa Steel talking about what they're doing in terms of leading that circular transformation. Euroclad are also a support and sponsor of ours, and the various support agencies like RAP, Canal Cymru, that will provide input and explain what their offering is in terms of circular economy type provision. And as I mentioned, I think earlier, Compass will provide the one-to-one mentoring support. So that's what you get from the programme. I'm not sure I need to spend too much time on this slide. We know the issues that are being caused by our overuse of materials on the planet. Obviously, burning fossil fuels is not helping, and that is causing issues which, unless we start to address, will make certainly operating organisations, but also living on this planet, incredibly difficult. There is Welsh Government impetus behind this. So obviously they declared a climate emergency in 2019, and the Beyond Recycling strategy, whilst not detailed, lays out their intention of supporting Wales and organisations with it to transition to a circular economy. But I don't think any of that is now not obvious, let's say, and certainly the data demonstrates that unless we transition to a circular economy, we are going to see increasingly weather-related challenges, which will not only disrupt our daily lives, but make it increasingly difficult to operate. So I've outlined briefly what you get from the programme, I suppose, what some of the output is for yourselves. This is what the programme looks like in a slide. A little busy, but it's nice to capture it all in one slide. So as you can see there, we've got 5 workshops running across the 6 months. There's a 2-day workshop, which is our residential, where we introduce the whole group to each other, and you work on challenges to understand what we would describe as innovation dynamics. And prior to that, there's a foundation day. And in essence, across those 5 days, including site visits and the one-to-one coaching, we introduce you to the UX design process or the human-centered design innovation process, and support you to develop what we would describe as a clean growth plan, as I say, either for one of your products or service range, or across different elements of the business. So that's the output in terms of a sort of document, a clean growth plan. And throughout the programme, what we're looking to do is enhance your innovation knowledge and skills in order for you to be able to, beyond the programme, continue to implement new ideas, new practices to implement circular economy principles, reduce costs, and enhance service levels. Okay, so the 5 phases of the UX process is the empathy phase, which we start in that innovation dynamics workshop, then define, then that ideation phase will support you to develop a prototype of the new service solution or the new product that you might be looking at, and then encourage you to support, test and understand it better. And then there is Welsh Government support for innovation across Wales, the Smart Fizz programme, and if it's circular economy related innovation, then there's additional support within the package that they've got. At the moment, they've got a two-stage process where you can claim or put an application form in to develop an outline or a feasibility study for up to 25k. And then once that feasibility study has been developed and an innovation plan detailed, which is what we're hoping to help you to do, then you can apply for up to 300k if it's circular economy related innovation that you're implementing. So that's what the programme looks like over 6 months. And this ellipse here shows this idea of forming a community of practice, this COP. And we think that's important because firstly, what we know from research and what we know from delivering the programs that we have over the last 2 decades is that people learn much better with each other, i.e. with other practitioners. They learn from each other, and it's incredibly important to develop that community of practice which offers a support network. So that's what that is about, and hence the describing the programme as an innovation network rather than a traditional university course. This is all about you developing knowledge and skills to implement within the organisation. So how do we develop that community of practice? What does that 2-day residential look like? It's all activity based. You will work on challenges that we set within groups, and we mix the groups up throughout the 2 days. And those challenges that we set you, that you work on in groups, represent some of the fundamentals or the innovation dynamics that we want to get across. And as you can see there, it's all about us setting you a challenge, you as a group reflecting on that challenge, and then discussing how that learning applies to your context. Because as far as we're concerned, there's no such thing as best practice. There are promising practices which should and need to be contextualized in terms of your working environment. So it's important that we give you the space and opportunity to talk through the learning that we take you through. And it's not about us telling, it's taking you through a learning process. And then you having the time with other practitioners or professionals to contextualize that learning and think about how it applies to you and your organisation. So that's what that 2-day residential looks like. And we will actually be using Coed y Muster in the Cardiff capital region, which is this building you can see in the background at the top there. I unfortunately don't get to drive the ride-on mower there. Okay, so that probably all sounds quite interesting. I hope you're thinking. What I'll do is show you a quick video of one of the groups, one of the individuals that's taken part in our current programme. There are lots more on our website, as I say, but I'll give you just a quick chance and me a quick chance to reflect on some of what has happened with Faye even.
Hi, I'm Faye Ward. I'm Wastewater Research and Innovation Manager at Welsh Water. The reason why I decided to join the CAKE group was because as part of my role in innovation, circular economy is really important. It's something that we strive to achieve in Welsh Water moving forward. The group that I was part of was the water quality cohort, and we were looking at developing water quality monitoring for various stakeholders across Wales. We all know that water is really, really important to everybody. We can't survive without it. So we need to monitor it and make sure that it's safe and regenerated for the generations to come. Our biggest achievement so far has been the relationships, I think, that we've built up together So it's really good to have those key contacts within those groups that have similar challenges to us. We've also worked quite closely with Cardiff University to develop a passive sensor, which is low cost. And we have implemented a test site where we're trialling this sensor to understand water quality and how that could work for us moving forward. So actually having a sort of a pilot out in the environment has been a really good achievement, I think, from the group. The benefits of working in a community of practice have been that we understand other people's ways of working. We understand that other people are doing very similar things to everybody else, but we kind of perhaps are working in silos. So it's good to kind of cross-pollinate and understand what other people are doing and how we can work together to achieve future benefit for the generations to come. So a few of the things that I've implemented in my organisation from being on this course include the Resolve framework. So we've looked at different case studies that may be of interest into the business and shared those through knowledge sharing platforms or lunch and learns. I've also used the brainstorming technique in a workshop to be able to look at potential smart network ideas. I've just really enjoyed being part of the cohort and meeting like-minded people and feeling the passion that everybody has to achieve something like a circular economy. Even though circular economy is very difficult to define in one instance, it's clear that people understand how it works in their situation and how we can work together to achieve circular economy in the future.
Okay, thought I'd show that vid for a couple of reasons. We do arrange site visits, so that particular site visit, obviously, we went up to Welsh Water. With the CAKE programme, we invited, it was both public and third sector organisations, to work together on common challenges. And there were a few organisations, as you can imagine, that were interested in water quality, Welsh Water being one, Natural Resource Wales, the Coal Board took part, and two of the local authorities in the top end of the valley that have got issues with mine water also took part in that group within the cohort. Obviously, in terms of this programme, majority of organisations will be working specifically on their own challenges or an area that you would like to work on. And if obviously there are other organisations with similar challenges, we would invite you to work with them on the particular challenge you decide to look at. But the nature of the CAKE programme was that there were certainly certain organisations, and as people were applying, we were able to ask them if they were looking to collaborate on some of their challenges. Some of the stats there from our a survey in terms of what we were looking to help people develop as part of the programme, and that's particularly innovation, knowledge and skills, understanding of circular economy principles. And for us, the important bit as well is developing those working relationships with other organisations across the region to develop this ecosystem, which will help Wales and help you as organisations transition to more circular business models. So a quick insight into that ecosystem that we've developed over the last few years through the CAKE programme. 191 participants across South Wales within 81 organisations, and about a third split, sort of 80%, 20% split between public and third sector. But obviously this programme, funded by Welsh Gov, is to support and bring in businesses that want to understand circular economy or the green economy and the opportunities it presents, and start to engage in that regional innovation ecosystem. We have published a lot of video case studies like the one that you've just seen there, which are on our website. We've published a number of articles, academic articles, and we've published practitioner guides. I won't get that up now. Practitioner guides like the Capability Development Matrix, which is basically a list, but dropped into a taxonomy that allows you to access circular economy related materials and understand what's out there. And we've published some case studies of organisations that have implemented CE principles into their product or service range and how that's benefited and enhanced their revenue. So I thought I'd stop here for questions, and then I'll go on and talk through a specific example of a new service solution that's been developed by some of the participants, one of the organisations that took part in CEIC. There are plenty of others, but I'll run through that one. But it might well be useful just to stop and ask some questions or thoughts that people might have now.
Thanks, Gary. We have one in the chat from Kate who's asked, is this better aimed at any particular roles or levels within an organisation, i.e. senior management, operational management, frontline?
It's aimed at people that want to develop their innovation capability and make changes within the organisation. So we have had and do have director level, and we also have people on the shop floor that are either being tasked or actually just want to start making changes within the organisation. So any level can engage. There's not an academic output requirement, so we're not going to ask you to write an assignment. That is an opportunity that's possible for those that might want to do that. You can engage in the MBA or the MSc in either Swansea or Cardiff. But this program is about developing your innovation capability and implementing the ideas, some of the frameworks within the business. Does that answer the question?
It does, yes, thank you.
Welcome. Any others?
A question from Tom Wontock here. Do you plan to attend Wales Tech Week or other local events to promote the programme to private businesses?
I was signed up for Wales Tech Week. The diary's becoming increasingly busy, so I don't think we got a stand there as it at the moment. That's something we could look at. Other events, we're looking to start the programme at the end of October. We're presenting at a For the Region event. I'm presenting to a group of the Keep Wales Tidy sort of network tomorrow. Other than that, if there are other events that you think we could present at or be present at, yeah, please do let us know.
Just to add to Kate's question earlier, Kate, we have found whilst there's no there's no level for any participants, we have noticed that there's greater impact when more than one person from each organisation attends. So if there are colleagues you have that you like to bring along, we found that it's been more impactful the more people, obviously, within the organisation that get involved, or if you have someone in your supply chain that you'd like to bring along and sort of partner up with, that also tends to work very effectively.
Okay, that's really helpful, thank you.
Yeah, great point, Reece. We've had 3 or 4 from an individual organisation take part, and yeah, does really make a difference. Obviously, in terms of bandwidth and the amount of time and resource you've got, if there's 4 people working on a challenge, that helps. But also the social learning aspect. So what did you think about this aspect, and what do you think we could do in terms of applying that? Bouncing those ideas off each other helps us generally when we learn, but also obviously in terms of your context will help contextualize some of the frameworks and models that we introduce you to. Any other questions? Thoughts?
That's everything we've got from the chat at the moment.
Okay, well, I'll run through one of the case studies that we've got. We are publishing them all up to the CEIC website slowly. We've probably got about at least a dozen up there at the moment. We are getting more, and you'll be able to go in and access those. There's a link here to the circular economy implementation case studies that we've written up. Those have also got short video clips of sort of 3 minutes of the person talking about what they've done and how that's helped the business. Okay, so one of the challenge groups, one of the groups from an organisation that worked on our CCR5 is the Cardiff Capital Region 5 cohort. We run 14 cohorts across South Wales over the last 3 years, 7 in the Swansea Bay region and 7 in Cardiff Capital region. And they were looking at their waste streams. What they wanted to do is better understand some of their waste streams so that they could start to, if possible, realise value. We had Owen Bailey, the innovation manager for Celsius Steel, one of our first events, and he talked about the amount of value that is that they found in skips on site, value in terms of potential revenue streams, and that sparked this idea, this challenge that that Cwmtaf Health Board then ran with. That particular group had representation, as you can see from across the southeast. So what did they want to do? They knew that there was an awful lot of cardboard, particularly, there's an awful lot of waste that's generated. One of the streams they looked at was cardboard because they understood there was some value in it. Some of the stats that in terms of the amount of packaging that they get, and this was for the Royal Glamorgan Hospital in Llantrisant. They were able to analyse what comes in, how that gets taken away, as you can see by Viola, what it sort of costs to take that away, and how it's treated. So it's treated as clean and dirty. The clean is baled and sent up to North Wales, or sometimes to China for reprocessing. And the dirty is incinerated. So anything with a sticker on it, anything with writing or soiled or damaged in any way is in essence, or was in essence, incinerated. So they mapped that process once they defined the cardboard as the sort of waste stream they wanted to look at. They understood the current position with that particular, I suppose, service or product. And then they looked at, we supported them to look at what they could do differently, what value there might be, and in essence, to look at that whole process, that whole stream, so they could better understand what might be done differently. So they mapped that in some detail. We supported them to develop some solutions around what could be done differently. And they finally, we helped them iterate the problem statement so that they could encapsulate it and then take that back into the business and get feedback from others in terms of whether that was a, let's say, a viable or a useful challenge to look at. They came across Leak Paper Solutions, who are based up in Merthyr, who process different kinds of waste. They started off processing waste paper, but they also process other waste materials, which includes cardboard. And that was how they defined the final problem statement so that they could put that into practice. And in essence, what they do now is that clean cardboard now goes to Elite Paper Solutions in Merthyr. They shred that to make animal bedding, which at the moment it's being bought by the South Wales Police down in Bridgend. Now that's a great solution because firstly, they're realising value from that waste product. Secondly, there's better properties. So cardboard bedding for animals actually produces less dust and it's more absorbent. So the dust can be harmful to animals. It certainly is, and to those that are cleaning out. So it's a better product, and they're now realizing a revenue from that particular waste product. They've saved, as you can see, 500 odd kilos of CO2 annually, so they've reduced their carbon footprint. They've saved £1,500, and they're supporting jobs in Merthyr and elite employed people that are far from the workplace, so those looking to get back into the workplace after a period of out of the workplace, and they support those people that have got work challenges through different disabilities. So there's both circular economy benefits, as you can see, because they're turning that waste into a product, and there's those foundational economy benefits. So they're supporting businesses within the region, and that's what this program that we're funded to deliver is looking to achieve as well, obviously supporting businesses, and where possible, retaining that wealth within the region. So not a complex product or process by any stretch of the imagination, but obviously you have to go through the process of analysing some of your services and products, and then supported to develop ideas, then test those ideas back in the workplace, develop prototypes, and then put that prototype into practice where possible. So in summary, what the program will help you do is enhance those innovation capabilities, better understand circular economy principles and the opportunities that are available to you as an organisation to offer products and services. Public service organisations in Wales now have both foundational economy metrics within their procurement and circular economy metrics, so that you will score far more highly if you can demonstrate that you are engaged with both FE and CE principles. And obviously, if you take part in the programme, you become a member of this developing open innovation ecosystem that we've set up over the last few years through the CEIC programme. So, in a nutshell, innovation is very challenging, but we know how ingenious people can be, and whilst we wouldn't encourage you to transport heavy materials like bricks in that way, there are ways working together that you can solve problems. And for us, innovation, as Shumta pointed out, is creative destruction. You have to destroy some existing processes, practices, in order to move to more effective, and in this case, in terms of circular economy, far more effective and productive means of managing and delivering your product or service range. Okay, I'll stop there because I'm conscious of time. That's some of the processes, and that's what the 2-day residential looks like. And I'll take questions. But if there's any specific questions around circular economy, we can bounce into those other slides. So thoughts?
We have a couple of people typing in chat at the moment. If you would like to unmute yourselves and turn your cameras on, please feel free, or raise your hand and Gary can call out individually. Just some positive feedback from Kate there. No more questions from me. Thank you. Very interesting, and we'll consider where it fits in my organisation.
Okay, thanks, Kate.
Dates, times and costs.
So we start in the Cardiff capital region on the 7th and 8th of November with the 2-day residential. The Swansea Bay region is a week later, so the 15th, 16th, was it 14th, 15th, and the first day is the 24th of October. We'll get those dates on the website, and we'll get them sent out to you after the end of the program. And then it's a day a month after we start that residential in November that you will come in, and we'll support you to develop the next stage of that product or service that you're looking at, or what it is you're looking to implement within the business. And it's fully funded at the moment. The funders do require what they call a demonstration of in-kind contribution. In other words, that they want us to demonstrate the time commitment. So we ask you to sign a letter of commitment, which says that you will spend approximately 2 days a month. So that's a day a month with us on the workshop, and then a day a month implementing the ideas, the frameworks that you're introduced to as part of the program. So that's the only commitment. There's no cash commitment, but obviously we fully expect the time commitment, and we have to evidence that to our funder, which is the Welsh Government.
Kate asked if there's any more insight sessions that others in her team could attend, or could we share the recording? I can answer that one. We have insight event running for 2 more weeks. So we have one now on the 5th of October, so that's next week, and then the 10th of October as well. And we will be sharing the recording with you shortly after this presentation is completed. So we'll send that out to you very shortly. And then Jainaba asked, has anyone from the third sector been part of previous cohorts?
Plenty. There's a lot. What I will do is I'll quickly share my screen, and I'll point you at the CEIC website. Oh, sorry, I can't. Right. So if you go onto the Circular Economy Innovation Communities CEIC website, you will see all of the groups that have taken part and the organisations. Some of majority public sector, but obviously third sector as well. Welsh Water probably fall, but in fact they're both a business and the third sector organisation. You can see the groups that have presented and the challenges that they've worked on, and you can see which organisations have taken part. That was Planed here down in Pembrokeshire. They're a third sector organisation. We had schools or an education group who in turn encouraged the pupils to understand CE principles and develop ideas, solutions for themselves. And the groups worked on various different challenges, problems. The Woolwich third sector organisation and what they've done with that. Mary Arthur, Mary's of Ashland, that's a third sector organisation. Com Environmental, you might have come across. They are a business partly owned by Carmarthenshire Local Authority, and yeah, there's a whole list there for you to look at. If there's any specific types of third sector organisations that are similar to yourselves, we could, if you drop us a line, we could give you the name of somebody that's similar to yourself that you could talk to. Obviously, we'll need to talk to them first. And if you want to look at testimonials from previous programs we run, as you can see on the bottom down here, Phil Morton of Ford, who's now at Jaguar Land Rover, took part in the previous programs, and we've got some interviews with Phil and others from that program.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Janaba.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't realize I was unmuted when we started the session, so apologies for that. Yeah, so I'm a policy officer for Easter, which is a third sector organisation. I guess my question is, it's difficult to phrase. So I'm interested in improving processes and how we do things in our organisation. And I've only ever been able to do that when I've worked with a particular group and being like, no, this is efficient, this is ineffective, I don't like this, I have a better idea, so let's do it this way. And then I have to go and convince everyone to like do it my way, you know. But I guess I'm a little bit worried about how a program can make you more innovative in your thinking. So I've never really had sparks of inspiration, you know, when I deliberately try to do it. It's just things that happen in the moment, and I realize actually I know a way I can improve this. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We've had those comments and thoughts before. The challenges we take you through are designed to help you understand a key concept or an innovation dynamic. So once you go through that process, we ask you to reflect on it yourself, then discuss it with the group that you've looked at the challenge with. That will help you have a lot of people that take part in the program describe them as light bulb moments. In some of the exercises, you might do one of the exercises or challenges and say, well, yeah, I understand that principle, that concept. That's, you know, I've bumped up against this idea of trying to convince others that the current process is not incredibly efficient before. So yeah, I understand that concept. So you will have different, let's call them light bulb moments in parts of the different exercise. The main framework that we use is the human-centered design approach. So what we ask you to do firstly think of a challenge, an area or a product or a service that you currently deliver, and then go through what is part of that process, the empathy stage. So we ask you to go and talk to people in the organization that are either currently processing or part of that current process or delivering or making that product and get their ideas. So that process of engaging people enables you to develop insight or empathy into the problem as it currently stands or the process as it currently stands. And going through that process does two things. Firstly, you tease out what they think the current problems are with that process. And secondly, psychologically, it tells them that you care about what they think, and it tells them that you are engaging them in the innovation process. So you then spend far less time later on convincing them that your idea is better than the current process. In fact, done effectively, what you're in essence doing is helping them design the new way of working or the new service solution, which they should agree because they've advised you what the issues with the current process are, is better than the current process. And we also then ask you to engage them at every step of that human-centered design or UX process. So once we take you through the empathy phase at the end of the first 2-day workshop, or the residential, it's not the end of the first workshop, then we ask you to use the tool or the framework back in the workplace to gather those insights from colleagues and maybe contacts outside the business. So, you know, if suppliers are engaged in delivering that process for you or a key part, it's important that you engage with those suppliers as well. There could be a regulatory framework that you're working within. So it might be that you need to engage stakeholders beyond, you know, your supply chain, your organization. And that helps you build an insight, and that empathy phase enables a robust data gathering really and insight gathering so that you can then move to the ideation, the developing ideas, knowing what the problem is in full. So that process that we supported ComTAV to go through, in order that looking at their waste processes and then going back in to talk to both people on the wards that are dealing with waste, but also their waste management people and their supplier in Veolia, help them understand that cardboard process in full before looking at potentially developing a solution.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer, particularly on like getting people involved in change the process. I've had issues trying to convince others because for me it's straightforward. This works better, and then to have pushback, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, that is absolutely right. If people are much more open when you ask them for their opinions on certain matters.
Absolutely. So that's the process that we take you through, and the reason the workshops are designed a month apart, so that you can go and implement the ideas, the model or the framework that we suggest you use back in the workplace, and then move your solution on a stage. And then obviously each month you come back in and we go through the process and the tools that you can use. And then again, you go back into the organization, engage with your colleagues, potentially engage with suppliers and customers and potentially stakeholders to ensure that the solution you're developing, and it's an ongoing iterative process, is going to solve the problem that you identified and you articulated and then shared with colleagues at the beginning of the process. So after the first 2 days.
We have a question in the chat from Dave. He said, this cohort seems aimed at private sector. Is it suitable, therefore, for small third sector charities, or would it be better to wait for a more third sector specific cohort?
We're unlikely to have a third sector cohort. We'd like to get both public, private and third sector working in the same cohort. This cohort will be for public and private, for third and private. It doesn't really matter what the mix is. You will meet others, you will engage with others within the region, but also when we run the conference, you will also engage in others that are from the same sector at the conference. So we're not going to have a specific third sector cohort. I shouldn't think, it's very unlikely, although what I will say is probably about half of the sign-ups thus far have been third sector. And that's predominantly because of third sector organisations that have taken part in previous cohorts and now encouraging colleagues, contacts to take part in the programme. But what we suggest is if there are organisations that you work with that you would describe as either within your supply chain or working on similar challenges, encourage them to join you, encourage them to join the cohort. We can take up to 30 on each cohort. We've currently got 15 and 14 respectively organisations signed up. So we're probably up to about 20 participants. So we do have space. We do need to get going by the end of October.